What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another deck profile here on the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the Mikasa Ackerman deck that I went 3-0 at my local webcam Wednesday. That's right, every Wednesday right here on the channel I host a online webcam local for you all to play in if you so wish. If this is your first time hearing about it, or maybe next week you want to play, make sure you check out the invite to my Discord that is in the description down below. We will get you the webcam player role and you can start playing some games with us. So without further ado, let's jump in and let's just talk about Mikasa. So Mikasa, 7-hand size aggro character, got an errata, and so I wanted to talk about what could I do in order to showcase that Mikasa could still potentially have legs. And so I made this deck and I ended up going 3-0 with it. This character is very cool. 7-hand size aggro character that clears cards out of her card pool as well as draws a bunch of extra cards, and the further along her turn goes, the harder her moves are to interact with because of the speed that she accumulates and snowballs up. And so we played the fire symbol rather than the air symbol, which I think has a lot of really neat tricks, which I'm excited to explain. And so let's talk about it. So the attack lineup, first and foremost, is a little weird. We're playing a exclusively weapon package because I wanted to be able to, if I drew an attack, I wanted to be able to play it no matter where inside of my chain goes. There's an idea where you don't have to play exclusively all weapons, but in this deck we did. And so the first attack I want to talk about, nice and easy, is just Saving Stab. This card's a beefy 5 low for 5 that says the next attack that I play gets +3 damage, which is just really good, right? Because my character gives speed, and so I need to make up damage somewhere else. From here, the next one is Spirit Lollipop, a spiritual successor of Saving Stab, where it says it's a 5 mid for 5, another big beefy move that says after it's blocked, my next one gets +3 damage, which again feels great. And this card also has the hidden text of, if it's in your hand, you may remove it for this attack, for your attack to get +3 damage, and you gain 2 health. We don't care about the health. But the idea here was that there are, whenever I draw cards with Mikasa and I drew a Spirit Lollipop, it's a 5 diff to be played late, which does not feel incredible. And so I want to be able to use this as like a mini Sugar Rush power up in order to tack on some extra damage if I couldn't actually pass the card because I had committed out to draw a bunch with Mikasa. That was the idea of just like, hey, I'm going to splice 3 damage onto my next move. My next big damaging move is just Bending Blade. The idea was that this is like the premium launch card as a 5 mid for 6. It says that it can't be partially blocked, which means that like I play this, it's a 5 mid for 6, and then I almost always get to draw off of Mikasa just because of the fact that it can't be partialed, and it's tough. And if they haven't taken damage, you can change the zone, so you can do a little zone mix up. I always just left it mid. I was like, hey, you can't partial it, no highs, no lows. Sorry, I'm gonna try and connect with this one. On to the more flowy aspect of the attack package. It is 1000 Sheet Pierce, and this is just like, this is arguably the best card in the deck. It's the 4 of, it's a 2-check, it matters. It says discard a card, draw 2 cards during the enhanced step, which is just like exactly what the character needs. We just need more cards in our hand, and there's a cool tactic with obvious with one of its pieces that I will talk about here in just 1 second. Up next, we had Double Dimension Sword. When I went to make this deck, I realized I only own 2 of these. If I could, I would just be playing 2 more, but I don't own 2, and so I wanted to play the deck, and so we just made some concessions. This card says mill 3, add a weapon card, a weapon attack from your that was milled this way to your hand, and so just like being able to just like, this card says it's a redraw is pretty good, and this card wears the bonus stats that I can put on with things like Spirit Lollipop pretty well, because it's also just like, it's a 4 damage move. It does not look very scary on the surface. The card's pretty fantastic. Here's the card that I replaced it with just Sword of the Darkness Flame. 4 mid for 5, stun 1, 99.9% of the time, just feels solid. Followed up with, it's got a 1 low block, which is the same block zone here. Do I wish they were Dimension Swords? Absolutely, because it's just more gas rather than just like hitting a little harder or being a little disruptive. And then the last attack in the deck is just Desperate Slash. a 4 difficulty move with a solid 1 high block. It mills extra cards, which is a sub theme of our deck. And then if you happen to take a lot of damage, because blocking with our face was one of our big ideas here, because we wanted to be at like 10 or less health, this card became a 3 diff that also randomly got pretty big. It was just like, I don't think that there's a better idea than what a Desperate Slash is doing. I think it's actually the perfect 4 of slot. Moving on to the actions in the deck, we've got our main kill card, and that is Sugar Rush Power Up. We're just playing it at 4 of. I wanted to draw this super late and give my moves, instead of plus X speed, it's plus X plus 2 speed, and then an extra 4 damage, just to turn extra resources in my hand into, oh, I want this to connect, and then I'll push it through. If you had any way to interact with these stats of my cards, I would just be like, it's pushed 4 up over the top, or, oh, you were just gonna block the last one that was lethal, and you could do the little math. Well, you didn't account for this extra. Just feels super good. This out of hand combined with this out of hand, the idea was just to play hand traps that said, hey, actually, you didn't calculate your math correctly when it comes to defense. The next action that we had was just double season the advantage. It's extra speed. It's a bonus resource. It's an extra speed to make sure that we land a hit with Mikasa. It is a bonus resource in the idea of it's a foundation that builds down, so whenever I do hit you, I can instantly commit it with Mikasa and redraw a card. And it also deals with problem answers on the board. It's actually just a perfect Mikasa card, and I think that every Mikasa is going to be playing this at a 2 of in the main board, and probably playing 1 or 2 more in the sideboard. It's just really good. And then, of course, I'm playing the fire symbol, so there's no reason not to play the 1 of Barrier Shield. If I was making a sideboard, there would just be 2 more on the side. This card just like saves your life for free too often, especially in a character that draws as many cards as we do. Sometimes like the only defense that you need is your 23 health, Barrier Shield, and a solid block. It's just good enough. Normally, whenever I get into my foundations, I like to work the 4 main jobs of aggro, flow, defense, disruption, and like talk about my cards that way. But because Mikasa is such a weird character, I'm going to do this a little differently. And I just want to talk about the discard outlet cards that exist, and we'll talk about it. So for here, the first one, we have Feral Shriek. This is the card that kind of like makes this deck work. It says response, after it's discarded during the combat phase, you get to draw a bonus card, which means that we play an attack, and then play an attack, respond Mikasa, discard the Feral Shriek, remove it, draw a card as we clear this. And so we don't actually go down in a card count whenever I am playing my attack cards. This card's very good, and truthfully does not feel terrible to build, because it gives you a bonus review during their turn. Oh, do I have too many mid blocks? I'll discard one of my mid blocks and then redraw. It feels okay. Up next, we've got for Mikasa's admission, response during the combat phase. After this card is discarded, +2 or -2 damage to this attack. It's only +2 in our deck. We have no ways to defensively discard this out of our hand, but this card does just say +2. It's a 1/6 with a 2 mid block. It's just premium in here. Again, it's just more of that hand trap of, oh, I can just block the next one. Oh, the next one got to accidentally be 12 damage, and I couldn't block it because of Mikasa giving it speed. Whoops. Feels very good. Up next, and part of the reason that I also picked the fire symbol, is number 4 Pro Hero. This character needs to be able to build foundations, and so the fact that 1000 Sheet Pierce says whenever you play this card's ability, the card that you discarded counts as being reviewed. Number 4 Pro Hero says that if you have 2 foundations, when you review this card, you will build it in and then redraw 2. When 1000 Sheet hits, you just commit the face down foundation you just got and then redraw. This card is just such an advantage machine when it comes to using this tactically together, that it's just ultra powerful. There were so many times where I would go into my rival's turn by just having one of these that I didn't build in order to look more defensively postured than I truly was, and then like I would have this and like 2 attacks in my hand, and then they would hit me down to 10, and I'd be like, oh, well, I'll just review this and then build one. And if I absolutely needed a panic block with the 3 mid block, I could, but I just didn't need to, like 9 times out of 10, because finding 23 is surprisingly hard whenever I'm allowed to block one thing on turn 2 and save my life. And then the last discard outlet card, the objectively worst one, is just Unabashed Manner. Truthfully, tonight I cheated with this card, although I don't think that necessarily moved the needle too much on my games, because this card does not work with Mikasa's response, because this card does say after it enters the discard pile during the enhanced step. And so it works really well with things like 1000 sheet Pierce, and it works very well with the milling cards that we are going to see, right? Like whenever I use things like Desperate Slash, we get the trigger on this, but it does not work with Mikasa, which was the main idea that when I put it in the deck of like what I wanted to do, and I got through round 2 and somebody was like, that's not how that works. So there's that. On to the now, so that was the foundation package of like, these are the 16 cards that I just want to discard constantly and run through the quote unquote blank cards in my deck. Now let's talk about the different jobs. Let's talk about the aggro cards. The Intensity of Mikasa Ackerman. This card, I only own one of them. I wish that I was playing 2, maybe 3 of them. This card is incredible. This card's so good. Of just sacrifice, this move gets plus damage equal to its speed. We are playing some 5 or 6 base speed moves. And so all of these just become 10 damage swings with the intensity. They're just, hey, here's 10, and I gave it extra speed with Mikasa. This just closes out games like so efficiently. You stack a Sugar Rush power up in on top of it as well, and it's like this just closes out the game. It's so good. But yeah, so I definitely want to play more copies of this, maybe 2, maybe 3. I just don't own them, so I cannot. My favorite foundation in the game, and I felt ultra powerful every time that I had it, was just Revel at his masterpiece. This card is doing everything that I wanted it to do by getting extra resources in the discard pile for things like Sugar Rush, and it just was +1 damage on everything. My 4 damage moves were now 5 damage moves, which was just like one step closer to just like winning the game. Very similar idea. We played the double rash decisions. Again, Mikasa makes up for the speed on her own, so rash decisions plus Revel meant that like all of my moves were hitting for 5 to 6 damage, and destroying the things like Unabashed felt very good. I was able to destroy these in my stage and say my next one's got extra stats, which is why I don't mind keeping it in the deck, because there are other ways to trigger that ability. Up next, I've got double. This is my chance. I only own 2 of these. I don't know if I would kick this up to a 3, maybe a 4. I think maybe 3 is at the absolute most. This card is very good for if they are posturing that they are going to block your move, your attack. You just give it the extra 2 speed to make it a little bit tougher. And if they do decide to resort to that line, you no longer have to spend a card out of your hand, or discard a card out of your hand in order to activate Mikasa's ability to clear it, because this is my chance just does it for you. It just like lets you save extra resources if they decide to go for those lines. And normally whenever they block with the block the attack that it's my chance to on, because of the extra resources they had to spend and what you didn't have to spend, you got to dig a little deeper and like normally find the win. It felt very good. Next we had 4 quick to act. Like I said, blocking with our face was very good, and so like there was plenty of times where I would just like take 13 on turn 2 for free and be like, haha, you didn't kill me, and I have 2 quick to acts. So not only are you not blocking the last moves that I'm playing, it's also very hard to block the first moves that I play, and like tap down those resources even quicker, so that my win is a little faster. Onto the flow cards. We've got triple Season Brawler, an incredible card of if I hit you, this is the primo card that I want to commit in order to draw a card with Mikasa, and it's just more draw power, right? The deck feeds off of having bonus cards in your hand, and so like having 1 or 2 of these down, they block with an attack they felt they couldn't play. You just like fuel your hand even further for your incredible turn. Card feels great. Up next, we're playing Triple Press Conference. So this card was in here, and I don't want it to be in here, but my big bombs are all 5 diffs. And so, like, sometimes it's like you have to go Saving Stab into Saving Stab, or Saving Stab into, like, Spirit Lollipop, and you're just like, man, I don't want to play this one on a 5 and this one on a 6. If I check a 2, like my turn is just over. And so like getting any amount of help here feels good. It probably could be a 2 of if you wanted to like cut and find room, but I liked it at the 3 of. I thought it was totally fine. Up next, we've got Double Ignite. This card's main job is that it's a 0, but it does have the added text of if you have Sugar Rush power up to that turn, a playable while committed +2 check feels pretty okay for trying to close out the game. Again, it does not feel bad for Mikasa after I hit commit the playable while committed cards in order to do the thing. It did not come up one time, but I think if there were more defensive decks that I played against rather than I played against 2 7-handers tonight, I think if I was forced to Sugar Rush and keep going, it would have come in handy. And then my last flow card in the deck is just, and I dropped one of them, is just triple 1-man Inferno. This card is just the mill package. There were so many times where I would have double Sugar Rush in my hand, and I needed to have 20 cards in my discard pile, so I could be like, hey, +4/+8, catch. +4/+8, and an extra +3, catch. Just having access to the extra stats was just like super good. I was milling on literally every single move that I could. This card also on my turn was triggering unabashed, which felt great. Like I would mill and you would mill, I hit abashed and go, oh, next one gets the +2. I feel good about that. And so there you have it. There is this Mikasa deck. I ended up going 3-0 tonight. I fought 2 Ymirs and a Jean, and I played a lot of games, and it felt very good. I kept killing people on turn 2. I kept killing people on turn 3 very consistently. This character has not gone anywhere. This character is still incredibly good, and you need to respect her. And if you enjoy playing, is she gonna go win the next regional? I don't think so. Is she gonna go and blast your locals because they're not expecting her? Yeah, possibly. If you plan on making this deck, let me know. Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comments down below. Let me know how successful you were. I would love to know how you guys feel about it. With that said, thank you much for watching the video, guys. And as always, I wish you well.